I got a phone call from Herb Abrams, who I'd contacted about trying to get in his organization, the UWF. And he wrote me, actually no, he didn't write me, he sent me a letter and basically asked the question, what can you do for my company? And I said, I can make you a lot more money than you're making now. That's for sure. I said, I have my own fan base and I can do it. And he said, well, come down to my house in Beverly Hills and we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk for a while. We'll see. So I went to Herb's house and he basically auditioned me for 2 hours, wanting to see what I was capable of doing. But he was also kind of feeling it out to see how much I knew about wrestling. He wanted to know, I mean, to use cliched terms, he wanted to know how wrestling smart I was, as opposed to just some fan who wants to be in the business. And I know the business pretty good. So, and he knew that. So after doing a little bit of shtick for him, he comes out with a photograph, an 8x10 of the Warlord, and he goes, how'd you like to manage the Warlord at a show we're doing in Minot, North Dakota? And I said, well, sure. I said, how am I going to get there? And he says, well, we'll fly out. I said, well, I don't have the money for a plane ticket. He goes, I'll pay for it, first class. So Herb flew me out first class, which anyone who has class would do. In Bangkok, Thailand, there was one time that Herb and I were with Mr. and Mrs. Wu, the manufacturer and his wife. And we were in the limousine and we were going, actually we were going on a shopping errand for me. I wanted to buy a talisman for my wife Terry because she was studying folklore and mythology at UCLA, and I knew she was interested in such things. And I wanted to get her an authentic Buddhist talisman, you know, like a good luck charm. So I told this to Mike Wu, who was a Buddhist, and Mike Wu said, I know just the place where you can get this talisman. So we got in the limousine, and it was me and Herb and Mr. and Mrs. Wu, and we went to a Buddhist monastery in Bangkok. And the limousine pulls up across the street, pulls up outside, and we get out, and there's some dog running around, and you know, the place was kind of scraggly. But we get out and we're in front of the Buddhist monastery, and Mike Wu says to me and Herb, you must take off your shoes. You know, you must take off shoes now. And Herb says, I'm not taking off my shoes. You know, Herb was pissed off in the first place because he didn't want to participate in going on an errand for me. God forbid he should do anything for me. And he didn't want to. He was put out about it. And Mike Wu knew it, but we kind of defied him anyway, and we went there to get the talisman. But he said to Herb, you must take off your shoes. And Herb said, I'm not taking my shoes off, you know, the hell with it, fuck you, I'm not doing it. And he said, Mike Wu said, Herb, you take off your shoes. You in another country now. If we come to your country, you expect us to act the way you want us to act. And now, you in our country, you act the way we tell you to act. And you take off your shoes. So Herb, very, very, very reluctantly, giving me dirty looks every second of the way, takes his shoes off, and we all leave our shoes by the front door of the monastery, and we all go in. And the Zen monastery is kind of an interesting place. They have little deities and knickknacks and all kinds of weirdness going on in there. And at one point, Mike Wu comes up to me and Herb, and he says, the Buddhist headmaster wants to give you a blessing. He wants to bless you. And I said, oh, that's nice. And Herb says, a blessing? And like Mike Wu says, yes, this is a great honor. This is a great honor, Herb. It's a blessing. And Herb says, all right, where is the guy? And the guy's sitting over on the side on some kind of throne or some kind of crap. And we go over, and Mike Wu says to Herb, he nudges him, and he says, you must get on your knees. And Herb says, what? And he says, you must get on your knees if you if you want the Grand Master to give you this blessing. I've told him very important businessmen from America have come, and he's thought, oh, this is very important, and he's going to give you this blessing. But Herb, you must get down on your knees, and he will give you the blessing. And Herb didn't want to get down on his knees for anybody, no way, no how. And very, very, very reluctantly, Herb gets down on his knees, once again giving me the dirtiest damn looks you can think of, as if to say, when this is over, I'm going to kill you, Zoogz, for getting him into this. So the Buddhist guy gives Herb the blessing, and when it's all over, Mike Wu goes up to Herb and he whispers, go ahead and give him $50. Give him $50. And Herb says, what? And he says, give him 50. You're going to give him an offering. You got to give him $50 or $100. Give him $100. Herb says, I'm not giving him shit. I'm not giving him nothing. I didn't even want this. And he says, Herb, this is a great insult if you don't give him so. So Herb reaches in his pocket and very, 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 very reluctantly gives him $100, giving me dirty looks like, I am gonna fucking kill you when this is over. So he gives it to him. Now, as it ends up, I never got my talisman because they were out of them. They didn't have them. So, in effect, we went there for nothing, and Herb just had to go through all that. When we got out of the Buddhist temple to put our shoes back, we put our shoes back on. Herb was real pissed off. Mike Wu was kind of pissed off at Herb. And we put our shoes back on, and we're walking across the street to get back in the limousine. And Herb steps right in a real big pile of dog shit. Like right smack in the middle of this big pile of dog shit. And Mike Wu bursts out laughing hysterically, and he says, oh, see, you defied God, and now he get revenge on you. We got to Minot, North Dakota. I got to meet people who I had never, people who I grew up watching, Cowboy Bob Orton, Killer Bees, and, I brought a hat along with me, a cowboy hat that I bought at a magic shop, and I tore a little hole in it so it would be easy to tear open. And when it was time for us to tape some promos, some interviews, I told Bob Orton right before we did it, Bob was sitting right in front of me, right next to the camera, and I said, hey, I'm going to eat your hat in this next segment. And Orton looks at it and he goes, I see you spared no expense. So anyway, the shtick began. Cowboy Bob Orton, you're nothing but a washed-up Bonanza wannabe, blah, 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 blah. And the warlord is, and the whole thing, Bob Orton comes out and calls me the Liquid Mahaba. It was fun, and I wished we could have done more shows, but Herb, the fucking money went up Herb's nose every time it came around. Every time the money came around, he didn't pay me, not much. I was being used. But I didn't mind it. I knew I was being used, but I didn't mind it because I wanted to be in the business. Herb Abrams, it was very strange. He had his own offices in New York City, which he was planning on trying to convert me to get me to come and live out there. And I was sick of not getting paid. Herb only paid me once in a while. And, I got a lot of free dinners out of it and stuff like that. But I never got the money, or very seldom got the money. I was still having a hard time paying my rent. So I would complain to Herb, and Herb would always say, oh, the big money's coming, we just have to do this next big pay-per-view or whatever, and everything will be fine. And I said to him on the phone, I was in Los Angeles, I talked to him on the phone in New York, and I said, what happens to me if you die? Then I'm left high and dry, I'm left out in the cold. And Herb says, I'm not gonna die, will you stop? I'm not gonna die. Well, a month later, I got a phone call from his girlfriend in New York saying Herb just died. And they found Herb high on cocaine with 6 naked prostitutes in his New York City offices at Penn Station, right across the street from Madison Square Garden. And he was stark naked, and the cops showed up, and every bit of furniture in his offices, like he had a big office suite of like 8 different offices, all of the business furniture, you know, Xerox machines and fax machines and typewriters and chairs and tables, everything, windows, everything was totally destroyed. And Herb was high on coke, and he had locked these prostitutes in the offices so they couldn't open the door and they couldn't get out. It was one of them who called the cops in the first place. So the cops show up, and they drag Herb out, and they put Herb in the back of the police car and decided they were taking him right away to the hospital and put him in the mental ward, you know, because he was nuts. He was high on coke and crazy. So they were taking him away, and the report that I got is that Herb died of a massive heart attack in the back seat of the limousine. And that was the end of Herb.